You should drop your number in my phone so I can call you.
Yeah. That city glow, you see it, we really closed that deal. In this silk nightgown, everything feels so real. Legacy lofts living, it's just me and you now. Cause this is the life we live, baby. Got that money coming in daily. Just me and my queen, ain't no replacement. Yeah, this is the life we live, baby. The life we live, baby. This the life we live now. Yeah, the life we live.
You ever have a moment that feels small at the time, but later you realize it was the doorway to everything? That was our first phone call. It was the night after he told me he owned the bar. I was still processing the shock, the curiosity, the way he looked at me like he'd been waiting to talk for years. He asked if he could call me, not text, not DM, call. So I said yes. When the phone rang, I swear my heart beat louder than the ringtone. I answered, "Hello?" And he said,
Hey, it's me.
just me, like I was supposed to know his voice already. But the crazy part, I did. We talked for 3 hours about everything and nothing, about how he started the bar at 22, about how he had 2 other businesses, a small real estate partnership with his cousin, and a sneaker reselling company he built in high school that somehow turned into a whole operation. He wasn't bragging, he was just sharing, like he wanted me to know who he really was. And I told him things I hadn't told anyone in a long time. My fears, my dreams, the parts of me I usually keep tucked away. At one point he said,
You sound like someone who's meant for more.
and I didn't know whether to cry or fall in love right there. That was the night his voice became home. We carried on for another hour just laughing at nothing and at everything. He has a really good sense of humor. He told me to dress nice. Not cute, not casual, nice. So I did. When he picked me up, he looked at me like I was the only person in the world. And when we pulled up to the restaurant, this place with chandeliers, velvet chairs, and a menu with no prices, I froze. I said, "Jalen, this is too much." He shook his head.
No, you're worth this.
Inside, he pulled out my chair. He ordered for us, not in a controlling way, but in a, "I paid attention to what you said you liked" way. We talked like we'd known each other for years. We laughed until the table next to us stared. We shared dessert even though I said I didn't want any. And when the bill came, he didn't flinch. He just smiled at me and said,
First of many.
on the ride home, he didn't try to kiss me. He didn't rush anything. He just said,
I'm glad you came.
and I said, "I'm glad you asked." That was the night I realized he wasn't just a man with businesses. He was a man with intention. You ever have a night that feels like a movie before anything even happens? That was Times Square with Jalen. The city was loud. Horns, music, people shouting, lights flashing like the world was wide awake. But somehow, with him, it felt quiet. We were walking side by side, not even touching yet, but the space between us felt electric. Like the city knew something was about to happen before I did. He kept looking around like he was searching for the perfect moment. I kept pretending not to notice. We stopped right in the middle of Times Square, the part where the billboards glow so bright you can't tell if it's night or day. Jalen turned to me and said,
You ever notice how everyone comes here to feel something?
I laughed. Feel what? Overstimulation? He shook his head.
No, possibility.
And then he looked at me, really looked, like the whole city disappeared behind me. He took my hand, not in a rushed way, not in a nervous way, in a "this is exactly where I want to be" way. My heart was beating so loud I was sure he could hear it. He said,
August, these last few months with you have been the best part of my life.
I swallowed hard, because I felt the same, but I wasn't ready to say it out loud. He kept going.
You make me better. You make me think. You make me want to slow down and speed up at the same time.
I laughed because I knew exactly what he meant. Then he took a breath, one of those deep breaths men take when they're about to say something real.
Look, I don't want to rush you. I don't want to pressure you, but I know what I want.
He squeezed my hand.
I want you. I want us. I want to call you mine if you'll let me.
And right there, in the middle of the loudest place in the world, everything went silent. I felt my eyes sting, not from the cold, but from the way he said it. Soft, certain, like he'd been holding those words for months. I whispered, "Jalen, yes." And he smiled, that slow, warm smile that made me feel like I was standing under sunlight. He pulled me into a hug, and for a moment, Times Square didn't feel like Times Square. It felt like home. We spent the rest of the night walking through the city like two kids who'd just discovered magic. We got street pretzels, we took blurry pictures, we danced on the sidewalk to a saxophone player who didn't even notice us. And every few minutes, Jalen would look at me and say,
You're really my girl now.
and every time I blushed like it was the first time he said it. That night wasn't fancy. It wasn't planned. It wasn't perfect. But it was ours. And that was the night the city stood still long enough for two young souls to choose each other. Y'all stay tuned for the next video because Jalen wants to tell his version of the story. Not that it's nearly as good as mine, but I'll let him tell it. Or not.
This is the life we live, baby. Got that money coming in daily.